The following podcast contains mature language and adult discussions.
How's this for Mike and Kev? What do you think? Is this Mike? Call it the Nash. This is Kliq This. I'm Sean. Still Sean. Still Kevin with me. And dynamic duo of sorts, aren't we? Well, I guess that would be Batman and Robin, the official dynamic duo. We have to be a kind
Not
of
necessarily.
No. I don't know if that's trademarked. Is that like a DC trademark or something? The dynamic duo. They were DC, right? Batman was DC. Wasn't
Yeah.
he? Yeah. If we were famous duos, who would we be then? Are we like Mick and Keith? Are we like
I was thinking
Gene and Paul?
I think we hit it on the head when we named the company.
Butch and Sundance, right?
Yeah.
It's a dated reference. Who's going to get that?
Who gives a fuck?
All right. Daltrey and Townsend, I could see too. And Nancy Wilson, perhaps.
I was thinking maybe Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham.
And Lindsey Buckingham, right. You need to get some of your witch garb down, though.
I can do that.
Oh, here we are again. Wait, you know what? Another fucking hurricane. What's going on? What is this?
So I told my wife, if anybody that has been watching the hurricane reports from Florida, when they show that area that looks like Kiev, where the houses are basically look like they've been missiled, that's my neighborhood. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the hits just keep coming. Unbelievable.
Man, I mean, it's like, and like I came down here for this one.
I know. I told when you came down, you were just like, I said, wait, but that it was out. Like, and then it did it's crazy. Okay. So in 2004, Charlie had basically the exact same, pattern or same path as Ian had. And then Gene had the exact same path as Nicole.
Uh-huh.
And both of those, so two of them, the first two were in 04, and then of course these two were and like the same, like 42 days apart, like everything was identical.
Man.
So,
and this is late for anyone who doesn't know. This hurricane season is supposed to be done in November, right?
Yeah.
Your temperatures are going down, 60s, but this is not happening down here.
Well, I was amazed when it started to cross, because I was talking to my wife. I said, "Yeah, but because you don't really pay attention to what the ocean temperatures are." But we had that period we had like 10 days where it was like in the 88, 89, 90. And man, it takes no time to warm up that ocean. And when it's made its turn, it was basically going to hit the East Coast. The original was like Vero Beach, and then they said that the first pattern was or path was for it to go straight up the coast like a buzzsaw. And what this did, so you always want to be on the west of the storm. The worst place to be is on the east, because that means you're going to get dumped because it goes counterclockwise. That northern, as it comes at you, that northern spit is just a buzzsaw. And we got eaten alive by the southern of the last of Ian. So we had nothing left. Like it had taken most of the seawalls. So we knew if we got anything at all. And of course, we have 16 condominium buildings. I'm talking 19-story buildings that have been deemed unsafe. And then I think 45 houses are condemned.
This didn't get as much play in the media. I don't know if they're just storm fatigued. That's a word I've heard now too, storm fatigue. But I didn't see a lot of play outside of here. Like I was telling people back home that we're getting a hurricane.
Well,
Like,
because
I had no idea.
What ends up happening is, like I got up the next day and I just checked and I saw that it was 78 in Tulsa. So if it's 78 in Tulsa, like how can it be a disaster here? See what I did there?
Yeah. But yeah, and then I saw you sent me video of
That was a drama. And that's my strip.
Your area. I don't know, Steve, if I sent you this, if I can get you this, if you can bring this up, it's like
it's unbelievable because like everybody that lives here because there's no high rises. It's all houses. It's like this little chill place. And here I sit in my on my 5th floor condo and nothing. Not a drop.
Did they give you some dehumidifiers at least?
No, not this time. I
No.
guess they got played out. The insurance money got played out.
Here's the area Kevin's talking about. Not where the fuck. Steve, I'm just gonna send this to you. Look at me holding up like I'm 65 years old, holding up a fucking phone. Sorry, Kev, you're only 60,
That's all right. While you're
only 63.
While you're doing that, I want you to pick. I want you to pick a hand.
There you go. Yeah. So it was for anyone that doesn't know, because apparently much of the country's still in the dark about it. There was another fucking hurricane down here, and it was just it's like insult to injury for. I mean, the coastal areas in particular.
I think from I know for sure from Satellite Beach up got, like New Smyrna Beach got whacked. It's just put it this way: we got to see newly elected governor.
See those homes? That is like so. Underneath, what I'm assuming is you had some seawall at one point before Ian, which extended east.
Okay, so I'm telling you right now that that guy's house right there.
Mm-hmm.
If you pull it back up, okay. If you go to, can you see where the there's a seawall on the if you look to the right, down
under the yellow house.
Yeah, under the yellow house, there's a seawall right there.
Yeah.
Okay, now go to the end of that, and that's the seawall that's still standing. Now you got to go out.
Scroll over it.
Right. Now see those two pieces of cement?
Yeah.
On the far right? Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so now go from about there out is where the guys that guy's grass used to be.
I don't even know how you'd begin to rebuild that. How far those pylons, because there's just nothing under the houses anymore. You got to knock the whole thing down, right?
You've got to demolish the house in order to go in and put probably 30-foot concrete poles. So you're gonna have to drill. People are like, they'll never be able to rebuild this. It's impossible. I'm like, they built the Mackinac Bridge across the Great Lakes. I'm quite sure they've got technology,
Yeah, they can do it. It's just the cost. And carrying the insurance in that area must be a fortune.
I think that this here is because it's a turtle. This is a turtle sanctuary. Like where I live is that's all. Yeah. So this is, and all these turtles, they end up like down in Costa Rica, and they're like a huge part of that food chain for the locals. The turtle soup and the turtle meat. So it's like, the cycle of life has been, because I mean they just lost a generation of turtles, that were nesting.
Right.
So
Well, the Costa Ricans will be all right without their turtle goddamn soup for a year.
They may have to. It may give them a reason to work their way up to the border. You never know.
They're doing that anyway.
Well,
I'm heartened to see Tristen's music making the rounds on the internet now, and people. Like, I even saw a woman say, like, finally discovered, given the circumstances, posthumously, finally discovered his music. He was brilliant. I love it. And there's many, if you look at our feed. And
yeah, he was very, very talented.
I'm happy to see it.
Yeah, that was, and so this was my. So Wednesday, the day that the storm was basically at our doorstep, that marked week 3 since Tristan's passed. So and Tristen has ridden, like Tristen, myself, and my wife have ridden out every hurricane that's came down. Whether we've had some category 3s that we've come down to the condo because we just feel we're safe. But, we usually just stay in the house. And so this was the first one that it was just me, Tamara, and our pooch. And so at different, the history of our house is, if you get an 11 mile, you can take a 70 mile an hour wind during the week, but as soon as they say a storm's coming, all of a sudden we lose power at 10 miles an hour. I mean, it's equivalent to what, like a 40 mile an hour wind will destroy a mobile home, but they'll drive that son of a bitch down the interstate in half with some cellophane on it at 80 miles an hour, and the thing's fine. But
Right.
put it on the ground and let 40 miles an hour hit it, and it's destroyed. So, and we had just went 8 days without power, 20 days before Tristen passed. And I mean, it was one of those things where it's just like, and our biggest problem is people say, why don't you have a generator? Why don't you have a generator? I live on a barrier island, and it's so narrow that we don't have natural gas. So you have to bring propane in. And then with it being, and you just saw how small those lots are, if you're lucky to have 100 by 100 lot, and you can build on, like, I don't know, 64% of it or whatever. That includes, like, and then you sneak your pool and a couple other little things. Mm-hmm. So you've got no room to be dropping, a propane tank anywhere on your property. And I'll be damned if I Beverly Hillbilly it and have that out of ground, because that thing's gonna last about a season and a half before you're gonna be replacing it. Because
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when we first came down here, we used to buy like $1,200 gas grills, and it picked one and a half season, and the thing would just crumble. Now it's like we buy a $300 grill, let it die, just call the guy, and he just brings the same one, and he comes
the disposable grilling machine.
It's exactly what it is, man. It's just like, you live on the beach.
Can you get a subscription for that? You just pay a monthly fee, and they ship you the grill every 6 months?
I've got to get a hold of them and make sure that I'm not on. I'm probably already paying. I'll be on the subscription thing right now. I don't know. I need to get my
your Rocket Money going there.
Yeah, I need to get my because who knows, man. that might be getting some from the Canadian Grilling Company but, so it was crazy because the storm came and, like, it was like all of a sudden that you could shutters were rattling. I'm like, and it said we were getting gusts 50 to 60 miles an hour. And I looked at Tamara, I said, "Man, how long before," I said, "what's the over under on losing power?" She said, "No, man." She said, I begged T to keep our power on. I laughed because I said I did the exact same thing. Everybody around us lost their power, including my next door neighbor. I'm up the next day and they walk by and they just stare at me. And they're like, "You have power?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh, wow." Like, "Yeah, the outside garage lights are on." He goes, "We don't have power. Nobody has power." I'm like, "Well, we have power." Like, obviously T was just like, "Yeah, I know you guys are going through some hard times. I don't think you need to, not have air on top of all that."
Sorry about all that. Here, take some light.
So yeah, so
Yeah.
then so we get through Thursday, and then Friday we've got to go over to the funeral home and pick up our son's remains. And I swear to God, it was one of the most surreal things in my life where you go like, man, there is definitely like shit going on in this universe and we have no idea what it is. So we're driving down Ridgewood and we take a left and we get stuck. We get stuck at it's like the lights holding us up. So the guy's talking and then he just goes right into, and it's Pink Floyd, "Wish You Were Here."
Mm.
And we're driving up this road to go pick my son up. And I don't know if you've ever listened, like, because T and Isaac played that. That was like one of the first covers they ever did, like in 7th grade. And I probably listened to my son sing that song. Like, if there was a song that he would have played to go pick him up, that would have been it.
Oh.
And like, I got chills right now. And I just like, Tamara and I we didn't say a word. And I said, "Man," I said, "it's just too," I looked at her, I said, "It's just too bad that, the cinematographer didn't pick a better shot than this. This is, pretty rough area we're going through." Right? And, so we got there and it was like, we went, and, I knew how, from actually handling Scott's ashes, at Scott's funeral, like, so, and then she brought out like the big urn, but it was in a box. And, she handed it to me and I was waiting for this. And I was just like, whoa, that's just like, this is the pomp and circumstance. This is the supposed to be kind of closure. Like this, like, there's nothing here. You just gave me an urn of bones. Like, this isn't my kid. There's nothing here. There's no energy here. Like, this is, and, and they want to, like, they're trying to help you with your grieving. And it's just like, we're cool. Like, we're going to put this in the car. We're going to go home. And now Tamara's like, we sat there today and we're like, what are we going to do? And I was going to bring the big urn down here, because we've got another urn, and then we have like a smaller urn that we're gonna, when I go up to Michigan, I'm going to bring a spade, and I'm gonna dig in between my mom and dad's grave, and I'm gonna put a little urn of T's ashes in between my mom and my dad up in Detroit, because he loved Detroit so much, and but it's just like all this, it's just like every day. And I've been sleeping in his bed. I've been sleeping in his bed like first 3 or 4 nights they didn't. And then it was just like, I'm going to go. And it's like, man, I said, motherfucker had a sweet ass mattress. His mattress is killing mine. I'm like, man, that's a good. I'm cool here.
Is that is it helpful or painful? It would be very hard for me, I think, to lay in my child's bed.
Well,
Too close, maybe. I don't know.
the thing is that because you have to realize that's where he was laying when they spun him around and from there jerked him to the floor and then and paddled him. It was right. I mean, so
right.
I'm basically, I'm basically sitting in Kennedy's fucking seat in the Lincoln
Mm-hmm.
is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And, but it's not creepy or anything because it's your kid.
I just meant pain.
Yeah, no, I mean, but and I know that. I mean, even pain wise, it's just like I watched this thing the other day, and they were just they just kept talking about the Ukrainian situation, and they were talking about how the Russians had to retreat again, and I'm thinking like sooner or later you got the whack job over in North Korea. Like my son, one of his fears always was a nuclear war. Because he knew that being this like as close as we are to the Cape, like that's definitely taking a hit.
Mm.
So
I just so are you going to bring tea up there? Listen.
no, well, I was going to bring him tonight, and then his mom said, "I'm not ready for that to go down there."
Yeah.
And I said, "What, honey? I don't think there's a rule book." I said, "Whatever you're comfortable with." I said,
Yeah, bring it. Put him to work. I mean, passing away is no excuse not to work on the podcast. So he should
no,
be
and
there.
I'm running on the computer camera tonight because he's not here. So, fuck.
Sorry, I was no help. Where's Isaac? Does Isaac live local?
All
right. We do have feedback.
I'm gonna fly Max in from fucking Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, yeah, why not? Just once a week,
Yeah.
Feedback from previous weeks. M. Earl Smith says, "Hey, Sean, you fucker, I have 8 degrees and watch plenty of NASCAR." I guess I said I don't watch NASCAR. I have a degree or something to that effect. So M. Earl is taking this opportunity to weigh in. What is the M? I love when that starts. M. Earl. Is it like Madam Butterfly? M. Earl. So, all right, he has 8 degrees. What do you have 8 degrees in? How much money do you have to go to college to get 8 degrees, M. Earl? You have no time to watch NASCAR if you truly have 8 degrees.
Maybe he's counting on the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, right. That's it. The 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, and then 2 that he got at college.
Yeah.
Cleansing Fire says, "I think I prefer the non-wrestling content because I get more than enough with the other podcasts." Well, that's kind of the deal here, right? We want to be different than everyone else.
That and the fact that we don't watch wrestling.
Yeah. Yep. Someone was having some fun with the fact that I didn't know Billy Gunn was on I almost said TNA TV. That how out of touch am I on AEW television? But let's say, well, who has time for all this? There's a lot of wrestling on TV.
I tell you what, I did get a chance to watch Reigns versus the Paul kid from Saudi Arabia.
Logan, yeah.
I did get a chance to watch that, Logan Paul.
Everyone's pretty big on him. What do you think?
I mean, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to get just browbeaten because God forbid if Kevin Nash was to let anybody that wasn't 9 feet tall wrestle. I didn't realize he was that small. Like, he was noticeably smaller than Roman Reigns.
Mm.
Like, it was hard for me to. Yeah.
Oh, he looks pretty tall there, but I think he's just flying.
Yeah. But I thought,
well,
I mean, he's definitely. I mean, the kid's talented. From what I can understand, I think that he got like a crash course from HBK, from Shawn Michaels.
Mhm. Well, he's got him by a few inches there. Like,
Yeah, but go back. Look at the size of Roman's head next to his.
Yeah.
That's the size of a man. You know, you could have an 11-inch penis, but if it's like a number 2 pencil, it's one thing. But if it's got a head like a softball,
Do some damage.
Yeah, you're still gonna be the man. No,
There he is
see,
with his pencil.
That looks like Hunter working against me, size wise.
Yeah, pretty much. Antonio DeRosa subscribed. Let's get to 100,000 for T.
Thank
Much love
you.
to Kevin. Big fan. I see a lot of that too. We said we want to get Tristen a plaque, and we got to get to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. So smash that button.
He's got a you ever see the giant cash poster when he's flipping off the
flipping the bird, right? Yeah.
So yeah, it's almost impossible to get. I found at an antique like an old vinyl store, I found one that is maybe 6 feet by 4 feet, and I had it framed.
Oh wow!
And when you walk up the stairs, that's the first thing you see in his room.
Oh, he has it?
Yeah. So there's a spot right next to it. Is where I'm going to put the his plaque.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
we'll get there.
Yeah.
James Miller says, Sean, you're really going to go for every single DNC talking point? Twitter? Really? Why don't you go deactivate your account right now? Show people how strong that virtue is. Just don't come back to it 6 days after you said you were done like Mick Foley just did. First of all, I don't know or care what the DNC's take on Twitter is. Just because Elon Musk appears to be a conservative, it doesn't mean it's a party attack to say that a check mark is supposed to be verification. That's all I fucking said, was that a check mark is supposed to be verification. You take that away, you lose the authentication of a media source, a person's name.
Yeah, you take that away, and then all of a sudden, everybody's getting free insulin.
Exactly. Right. Now, you see, let's see. Okay, well, Mick is gone again, I guess. But so I don't know what he's talking about there. But no, I'll leave my check mark alone. I'm not going to pay for it. But no one's caring whether I'm authenticated or not with my paltry amount of.
So I said, if somebody else can come along and get and use Kevin Nash and get 1 million followers, God bless them.
But what starts to happen is if they put out kooky messages and they buy that check mark there, it's going to seem like they're coming from you. And as an individual, you may not care, but
number one, nobody is more of a fucking assassin of punctuation than me. So that alone,
your authentication is the poor grammar.
Exactly. My poor grammar, misspelling, using the word the wrong
adjective.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've got a conundrum of just absolute horse shit that you've got to master before you can. And it's good luck, good luck, because half the time people don't know if I'm being sarcastic or actually,
Yeah, but I mean, if it says CBS News, there should be some way to authenticate that it's an actual source. That's all. I listen. If the Democratic National Committee said that, they're right. Okay, I don't take my cues from them. I voted on both sides of the.
I didn't realize there was a Democratic National. I thought they were just kind of winging it.
It seems they have been lately, but
official.
So so.
How many? Okay, so if I don't have to be a super sleuth to see 12.7 and go, okay, that's the real one. And anything that comes in your line you're not going to be following them. So there's no reason for that to come in your timeline.
But when you do a search and you'll have 10 names now and you'll have 10 check marks, you got to click to see how many followers are each. Listen, Elon, I'm all down with capitalism. Sell something else. Sell something else. There's a million add-ons you could have to the service.
Well, my thing is this, okay? So I watched when Elon was on Rogan, and he was talking about these chips that they were going to be planting in people's brains that would like restore people's vision if they were blind, restore hearing, and also to the point where they would restore it's like somebody who was a quadriplegic would be able to walk, and then in time actually walk better than like a normal person. Um, so to me, it's just like if somebody actually, the fact that you can take a one of like the booster of a rocket that they used to fucking have to go and dig out of the ocean, and this guy is reusing it, and he's landing it on a pickleball court. It's just like the problem is he's too smart for such a stupid. Twitter's just, you know what I mean? He's too smart.
His efforts are more sophisticated than Twitter calls for.
Yeah, it's just
I get that.
Yeah, it's like, and people are like, so I watched the let me think who it was. I want to think it was CNN, like in the middle of the afternoon, and they were saying how that this it was going to bankrupt and this and that, and how everybody like that he's fired everyone, and like the people that came, like he like hired 2 people and they left, and at the same time, it's just like I'm thinking to myself like, all right, so while all this goes on, it's like the metaverse, it's like these people that actually bought real estate in the metaverse,
Mm-hmm.
it's those same cats. It's just like,
Just the NFT crowd.
yeah, it's the NFT crowd. It's the Bitcoin crowd. That's great. That's if you're into that, I'm not saying, I'm not saying anything bad about you. All I know is when inflation dropped 0.3%, the Dow went up 1,200 points. I didn't see anything Twitter did that upset any of the financial markets. I didn't see, and this is my whole thing. Thank God that the Republicans are going to take the House, because finally we can get fucking $2 gasoline again.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
I mean, we're getting the best of everything.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have no inflation. They'll knock the inflation down. I mean, I think that just trumps that strong showing in Arizona alone. It's
going to be interesting watching what the party does. Now, you really starting to see a fracture. You're having 2 camps, is what's going to happen. And
I like how our boy over at the House who thinks he's gonna walk in there, and they're like, Didn't you go down to Mar-a-Lago and kiss his ring after you said you were going to chop his head off in the Senate floor?
McCarthy?
Mm-hmm. That poor guy, man. All he wants is he wants that spot so bad. Just like, sorry, kid, can't hit the curve.
Well, on Twitter, we have your friendly neighborhood white guy. His name is. He said, "People have always been stupid. They just didn't have Twitter," and that's kind of social media in general. Really, it's a megaphone, and whoever stands in front of it is heard.
Unless it's the megaphone that Charlie Chris had down here in Florida. I don't know if anybody saw any of the
At
Charlie
a rally?
and all of them. He had a megaphone. It looked like out of a clown car. It was like this little tiny small. You go to DeSantis's deal. There's like 30,000 people, and it looks like WrestleMania. You go to Charlie Chris. He's got a old shitty Winnebago behind him, and he's talking, and it's like there's a reverb on his shitty mic, and I'm just like, yeah. And oh, gee, lost by 20 points? How'd that happen?
Yeah. The best your fair state could do,
Hey,
apparently.
I don't know, man.
Papa Plants, love this podcast. I'm a truck driver and binged all the episodes on my recent trip. Love the stories from the past and all the banter. You are not alone, Papa Plants. Thank you for listening. Glad we can
Thank you, sir.
make your time on the road. Every time I talk to a trucker, I was talking to somebody else this week who happened to be a trucker, they love the lifestyle. It's beyond just a job. It really is a lifestyle. You got to be okay with a lot of solitude, a lot of miles. But every trucker I've ever talked to, I even know a guy that owns a trucking company. He's like, worst thing I did because I can't be on the road anymore. They love it.
Yeah, I just saw that. I just watched the movie the other night again with Clooney. Up in the Air, is that what it's called? Where
The planes, right?
Where he fires people for a living,
Okay.
and it's Up in the Air, and it's like they're going to take him off the road, and like so he's talking to the girl that he's breaking in, but she has this idea that she's going to take this basically and do everything Zoom, like what we're like I would be telling you like your severance package, I'd be giving it to you over this, and he was saying no, blah blah blah. But so he's telling her about this whole point thing, and he wanted to get 10 million so he can get some kind of card and you get your name put on the side. And she goes, so what do? You cash those in? He goes, no. He collects, like, that's the game.
That's the chase.
Yeah. It's no, you just, it's the points. And it was so funny because I remember I went through a period when I was traveling so much. It was like, I would always, because I had the Diners Club, and the Diners Club, if you had a Diners Club, it gave you the loss damage waiver automatically if you used the Diners Club to rent the car.
Oh.
So $24.99. So, but because it's my card, I'm still charging everybody $5 a day for lost damage, because if we don't have my card,
Mm-hmm.
and I would use all my shit, because that would go to Hilton, which would go to this, which, and everything would, and I'd look at the end of the month at my statements, and I'd be halfway through the year, I'd be platinum and Hyatt, Hilton, Marriott, like, I'd clean up, and then people would be like, what are you going to do with those? I'm like, what do you mean? They're not going nowhere. Like, what am I going to do? Go on the road?
Right.
That's what I told my wife after this hurricane. I said, hey, what do you think about, like, maybe just a weekend and, get an Airbnb in Kyiv? What else?
Kyiv reference.
Yeah, what else could go wrong?
Well, you know what is not going wrong now is a very sizable part of my caloric intake on a daily basis because of my friends at Athletic Greens.
Ah.
My AG1, I'm doing it every day, every morning. When I travel, I have the packs. I have the travel packs of the AG1 product, and I guess it's been about a month now. I've been on it religiously I take it every morning, Thank God it tastes good. I've tried a lot of stuff before, a lot of supplements before, and I mean, there's a taste of something healthy. I just came to understand if it's healthy, it's going to taste like soot
Ass.
or dog food or ass or something. But
Yeah.
thank God this has a very mild taste. First of all, the taste is mild, and it is a kind of almost like a fruity aftertaste. And for those of you that want a little fruity in your mouth in the morning, do this. It is, there you go. There's a visual, and it is 1 scoop once a day, every day. That's it. I nail it while the teapot is getting ready to boil, and it takes 2 seconds, and it's fantastic. I do bring it when I travel. You're going to get some travel packs with this package. It's optimal nutrition. You take 1 scoop of AG1. You're getting 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, adaptogens, and you start your day right with it. The blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, energy, recovery, focus, aging. I started it because of my diverticulitis issue. I ended up in the hospital, and this came my way, and here they are, a sponsor on our show, and it's so great. Sustainable routines are the key, guys. So AG1 is my daily micro habit in the morning. 1 scoop, 1 minute, once a day. I want you to make it yours too. We're going to make it easy, okay? We're going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with the first purchase. All you've got to do is go to athleticgreens.com/Kliq. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/Kliq. Take ownership over your health, okay? Pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Kevin, you take it as well. I know
Yes.
you do.
And this is one thing a lot of people don't know about nutrition is an abundance of vitamin D will help regulate your glucose. So if you're pre-diabetic, that vitamin, that's why they're giving you that extra vitamin D. That helps regulate your glucose. When you get your when your gut, number one, if your gut's not healthy, that means you're not getting rid of the poison in your system. And if you're not getting rid of the poison in your system, I mean, your everything goes to your aging system. It just,
It all falls apart.
it does.
And
Everything.
I'm riddled with poisons. I'm trying to get the poison out. And Athletic Greens is helping me do that. Thank you, Athletic Greens. Everyone go
Thank
grab
you.
that go grab that offer.
We got some great, we really do have some great sponsors.
We do. Very diverse, different cross sections of the world. We're going to introduce a new one a little later.
I love when it's because there's nothing that has came to the house yet that I'm like, oh, I'm not going to use this. It's always kind of like a jump ball. Like, whoa,
Jump ball.
yeah, it is. It's like a jump ball. Who's going to get? Like, no, you're not getting that. That's mine. Yeah.
Did you move the chili sleep system into Tristan's bed?
No, I
so
haven't.
that
I haven't
no.
done that yet. Haven't done that yet because it's we've got some work to do. His floors need to be redone and some. I mean that's I'm staying in his room right now. Number one, it's at the top of the steps. So anybody like right now, I'm not saying that I'm angry. I'm not taking it out on anybody, but there's a little bit of me that wish somebody would fucking pry that front door open and like work their way up the stairs. So I
So
could
they
see.
could encounter you?
I mean, just not me as much as just a extended clip of 9mm parabellums.
We don't condone this.
No, I'm kidding. That's so violent.
Listen, the McMahon investigation's over. You aware of this?
Well, I think it was over when we brought it up at the beginning. I hate to say I told everybody okay, so this is the deal. Here we go. This is not headline news. Nobody.
It's not.
No, it's nobody's. I don't hear any of the guys that went on their podcasts and buried Vince and got their digs in saying, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Vince. I was wrong. You didn't do anything. You're not Harvey Weinstein."
Well, of the disbursement of the $20 million that are referenced in the investigation, the $15 million to the women weren't as interesting to me as the $5 million that went to Trump or Trump related foundations, I should say. Didn't go to him personally.
I mean, but Linda is was part of the cabinet. I mean, that's
She was the Small Business Administration chief,
yes,
or whatnot.
and you know what? My whole thing is this: it's his money. That was my whole thing with the women. As soon as the WWE found out that it was his cash, it was like, and it's the $5 million to the Trump foundations, still his cash.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like,
well, I think it was more the. Of course, they had to investigate. It's a public company, so you have to investigate any potential financial wrongdoings. But I think it was the ethical question was more of the issue for many. I don't know that the Trump donation does anything to fortify the ethical positioning of Mr. McMahon, but it should be said that he is now free. I think the quote was that he can effectively exercise control of the affairs of WWE again. I don't know if he will, but the landing strip is cleared for that to happen. But the most interesting thing in several of the articles I read is that WWE is apparently being positioned, I guess, by Wall Street pundits. I don't know if they're shopping the company, but as a potential acquisition target. And this is probably just based on the spreadsheets. But I started to go, wrestling is one of those really specialized things. I know they have their hands in other forms of media as well. But the wrestling product is the bread and butter for WWE, right? Does this ever work when an outside entity invests or straight out buys a company that, I mean, we can talk about Time Warner. You were there firsthand for some of WCW. Now TNA was Panda Energy, right? So I guess that kind of, can we say that was a success? Was TNA a success? A successful venture?
I'm sure that what I heard a long time ago was Bob Carter, Dixie's father, was going to buy a new Gulfstream, and he told us, well, I'll just buy a wrestling company. So that's what he did.
But can we say that it worked out? I mean,
I look at it this way: Impact Wrestling is still is TNA.
mm-hmm.
I mean, it's still on. You know, it lasted longer than WCW.
Under Time Warner.
Yes.
Right.
No, I mean WCW was around for 10 years.
Well, right. Well, the name changed to World Championship Wrestling, but it was still, it was the
NWA.
It was the Carolina, Atlanta.
That was Crockett's
product, right?
That was Crockett's product. That wasn't Ted's.
Who could buy WWE and run it effectively? Would it have to be an entertainment company? It would have to be a media company.
Yes. Yeah, it would have to be. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, I just watched a fascinating thing on CNN about Murdoch, and how Murdoch, it was like watching Succession in real time, and it got down to it where Murdoch was positioned. He talked to Eisner, and he sold basically, Fox Studios, Fox Network, like he sold everything to.
Was it Iger? It might have been Iger at the time.
It was Iger.
Eisner was gone. I think it was Iger.
Yeah, I think it was Iger. I can't remember who it was, but too close to names. So some
Eisner,
some
Iger,
white guy,
some white dude.
some white dude. But anyway, it kind of left the one son was just like the Fox News and then the Fox Sports. And that was kind of it. Like there was like really nothing left of, so I know there's value. I mean, because wrestling has always been around, and I know that they've, from a streaming standpoint, I mean, that's the number one thing is people want, to have that library, and Vince's or WWE now has basically purchased every library there is, I think, except TNA's. I think they own everybody's.
And kayfabe commentary. Working
Yes.
on that, though. But, yeah, so I guess in the right hands, it could do something. But you'd have to...
But
see, with Time Warner, you were there. So
yeah.
had they left the creative alone, the bean counters could have come in and budgeted you differently. They could have routed your travel, changed the travel budget. But anything related to the writing room, had they left that alone, you probably could have made it, right?
I think that that was the first one. And then when AOL came in, I mean, you were talking about, it was kind of,
standards and practices, meetings and whatnot.
It was a nerd fest, So
was there anybody who would come to you guys from AOL Time Warner who knew wrestling? Like, were there any of the guys or gals that came into the writing meetings or whatever that had valuable input?
No, none.
Right.
None. No.
See, this is the problem. So,
well, that's the thing too, is it's not like you're buying, whatever the hell the Washington Guardians or whatever the hell what's the name of the football team? Commanders?
Commanders. Yeah.
Yeah. So when now they've got all that, crap going on with the commissioner hiding this and, Snyder doing this. And, but, but you sell that has just because it's part of the National Football League, and also it's got the television package. Like there's nothing there. I was watching Bob Costas on HBO last night. He was talking to the commissioner of baseball, and they were saying how the numbers are just nowhere near like back in the day, like say when Reggie Jackson, was hitting home runs for the Yankees. The numbers were like MASH. They were doing 21s during the World Series. And, it's nothing like that now. It's a pittance. And the only actual programming that has sustained that kind of marketability is the NFL. Yet on the night when, the Astros and the Phillies were playing at the same time on Thursday night, the Eagles and the Texans were playing.
That's right. And
the baseball games in both those markets outdrew the football. So, which was, I mean, everybody knows how it is when numbers you're trying to equate it to worth or value of a product. And those are the kind of numbers that you say to yourself, but,
well, it was the World Series, though, so
yeah.
I don't think your average baseball game, Thursday night baseball, if such a thing existed, would have outdrawn. But everything has taken a hit, though, Kev. We looked at those. Remember those ratings we compared?
Oh, yeah.
It's just this fucking thing right here. The competition for everyone's attention is massive, and to cut through it, you got to be a big dog.
Yeah, and there's so many. There's like I'll watch the Grammys or I'll watch different things, and like there's so many great television shows that I just haven't watched. You know, like it just doesn't. It's not something that's on my radar, and then it was like that one show that they had on, it was Netflix. It was that Gambit show.
Queen's Gambit, yeah.
Yeah, Queen's Gambit with a girl that was a chess player.
Right.
Now, I personally probably would not have watched that, but my wife was very interested in watching it.
It was good.
And it was excellent. I
Yeah.
mean, we binged it in like 2.5 nights. And, but it's funny how, and we had a conversation. I think we all talked afterwards. We talked about Newsroom. We didn't talk on air about Newsroom,
No.
did we?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so yeah, so Dom started watching Newsroom, and it's crazy because as it goes along, even though it's 11 years ago, it really holds ground. And so I said to my wife, I said, "Hey," I said, let's see how West Wing holds up. And we put the first episode on, and people are like getting paged on pagers, and it's like all of a sudden it's just like, no, man. And it's Sorkin, but it's like it's weird. It's like in the first episode in Newsroom, when the new crew comes in to work with McAvey, the young assistant gets tangled up in his bags and takes a fall. And I remember when I watched it again, I'm just like, why? Like, why that wouldn't happen? But then I watched the first thing of the West Wing, and she's on the treadmill and she's talking on the phone, and she loses her balance, and she does a face bump on the treadmill and goes out. And I'm just like, oh, so that's just horse shit. Like, that's just something they have to put in. But I think I looked over at my wife. We're 23 minutes in. I said, what do you think? And she goes, nah, I ain't feeling it. I said, nah, man.
Which one, West Wing or
yeah,
Newsroom?
West Wing. No, Newsroom. I couldn't get enough of that.
West Wing. That's been a minute, but I think it was heralded first of all for the performances. It was a very good cast, but also the Sorkin writing is what I think what put that on the map. I'm going through the chronology. Was that his first like breakout
I want to think it was.
show? I mean, he's done so much after that, but I think that was what kind of put him on the map. And it was that kind of rapid fire, no wasted dialogue, every word crafted to the. It was funny. I've just finished Matthew Perry's book about mostly about addiction, but about his time on Friends. And he did a Sorkin series. I can't remember which one it was, but
that was that Studio.
Yes, it was Studio
60,
right?
Yeah, Studio 60.
And he talked about the difficulty in working with a Sorkin script, because you can't even put a pause in your dialogue if it's not written. Like, there was no freedom. And he's coming from a set where, the
yeah, they do it.
crew.
Yeah, they do a table read it Thursday and shoot Friday.
Yeah, and they have input, like in the middle of a scene. If like something's not working, the actors can just kind of share their take. And it was not the case with Sorkin. But we know what happened this week.
I actually heard it, and I have no nothing to base this on, but I heard that Sorkin's a very selfish lover.
Blue Chew. You know what happened this week? I don't know if you believe in karma. I have historically amazing dental DNA. Okay. I've had one cavity in my life. I turned 50 this year. I've had one cavity. I have one filling, which I was shocked to hear that I had the cavity. I was in disbelief. I don't know, it was probably in my 30s or something when I got, let's say 35, just for argument's sake. Now, my dentist's office was right near a famous hot dog place called Callahan's. Huge hot dogs, deep fried, soaked in beer and deep fried. Amazing. So I would always hit Callahan's when I left Frank the dentist's office. I sit down in this chair, all planning. I'm ready for lunch. I'm ready to get the hell out of there. He goes, oh my God, you got a cavity. So what are you talking about? I said, so what do you do? He said, it's a filling. It's no big deal. I said, hold on a minute. I said, how long before the filling is set and I can chew? He said, I don't know. He said, half hour. I was like, okay. I said, now what about the shot? I can't eat with the Novocaine. I'm numb. I could chew through my lip. He said, no, that's, 3 hours. You got to leave that. And I'm thinking Callahan's hot dogs. I said, this is unacceptable. I said, we're doing this with no Novocaine. He's like, are you kidding me? I didn't tell him why, because I'm a gavone, and it would be embarrassing because about food, I have to stuff my face. I said, no, let's do this. No Novocaine, straight up. So I did it Marathon Man style, Dustin Hoffman style, had my only filling in my life without Novocaine.
At any time, was it safe?
It was safe. I had to say it was safe, and it was safe, and I enjoyed 2 hot dogs thereafter. So that's my dental history. So I tell a story last week on this godforsaken podcast that we host about Larry Zbyszko getting an advance on his money because his teeth were cracking and he was gonna appear on. He had the risk of appearing on air for me. What happens this week? I'm chewing. I got a crack in my tooth. I cracked my tooth. I fully blame Larry Zbyszko's energy on my cracked tooth that I now have to go have addressed. There he is. Look, perfect teeth in that shot because I sent a check 2 weeks before that. But, yeah, so that's it. So I sit here with a cracked tooth due to,
you haven't
no
got
doubt, my telling the story.
I always have, like, if I have, like 2 homes, like when I was down here and I was in Phoenix, I had doctors in both, dentists in both.
Oh, yes, there's a dentist here, but of course this happens on Friday night.
Oh.
And I'm leaving Sunday. So I'm not going to have this addressed until this week in New Jersey. But I just wanted to get that out there.
Do you got to work Monday?
I'm working it out. I'm working it out. I think I'll be in Richmond on Monday morning. I got to tease something here for a second. No details, but very soon we're going to have an announcement about some premium broadcasting that our Kliq This Nation can join us for and talk to us live. Well, talk to Kevin. Who the hell wants to talk to me? You can talk to Kevin live, and we'll do some watch along action.
I think they want to talk to both of us.
We'll see.
I mean, even though
who wanted to talk to Garfunkel or
I heard
Townsend, whoever. What did I say? Townsend and Daltrey.
I heard 37% of Central Park.
Okay, I'll take it. So very soon I'll have we'll be allowed to announce firm details on this, and you guys got to promise to come along. We want to talk to you in person. We want to answer your questions. We want to connect with you. That's what this is all about. We promised you that this would happen, and now that we've established a foothold in the world, this will happen. It is time for the stiff one of the week, Kevin. And an old friend of yours, Sheiky baby.
Oh, you're a fucking piece of shit, Kevin Nash. Have your fucking jabroni come up during my roast. Fuck you, Kevin Nash. Fuck you, you piece of shit. Sheik, that was Scott Hall. Oh.
Sorry, Bubba.
Of course it was. Sorry, Bubba. Kevin Nash, very good friend of mine. Fuck you, Scott Hall.
This is Sheiky on Riding with the Fabulous Moolah. We're a story with Greg the Hammer, Sheiky, Moolah, and Wendy Richter all in the car together for a whole lot of fun. I think 3 of the 4 were having a lot of fun, and maybe Moolah not so much. Let's hear Sheiky.
So anyway, I get hit with the Moolah, Fabulous Moolah, because the Hammer was driving and I was a passenger, and Hammer started to do the medicine, and he passed the medicine to me, and I passed the medicine to win the victory. So we all 3 we did the medicine, and after that, and Moolah said, Sheik, I don't like that shit in the car. I said, what do you mean shit? This is my medicine, whole country, we don't have a doctor, and Mother Nature, herb, and it's my medicine. Greg like it, I like it, Wendy like it. You don't like it? Okay, Greg, stop the car. Greg the Hammer stopped the car. I said, okay, Moolah, you don't like my medicine? Get the fuck out of car, you dumb old douchebag. And then I get hit inside. You know what I mean?
So did you strand the fabulous Moolah?
Yeah.
Where did you leave her?
So I tell him, you don't like my medicine? You don't like the Greg the Hammer medicine, Wendy Victor, because she already get hit. Last night beat up the Wendy Victor anyway. Window come into my room and she cry. So God wants to get even with her. So I said, okay, Greg, Moolah doesn't like our medicine. Stop the car. So Greg stopped the car. I said, okay, you don't like the because we give the Moolah favor to doesn't miss the show to we go Providence.
Right.
And no, that's our rent car is Greg the Hammer pay and I pay. And we just take her ferry to she doesn't miss the show, right? But she don't tell the two legends, Greg the Hammer and Orange Sheik, I cannot do my medicine in my own car. So I tell her, okay, you don't like my medicine? Greg, please, stop the car side shoulder. So Greg stopped the car. I said, okay, you old douchebag, Mrs. Moolah, whatever your fucking name is, get the fuck out of the car. And she get out of her car, and then she hitchhiked to make the Providence. So and after that, she don't like me. And she tell Mr. McMahon too, but I don't care. Moolah is no good son of a bitch. If she wants to be bad, she's no good because she beat up the Wendy Victor.
Is there anyone greater to hang with than the Sheik?
No.
Is there anyone greater to hang with than
No.
Sheiky?
No.
Don't tell him to put the medicine away. All right, Florida man or Jersey guy.
You want a great.
Always.
This is unbelievable.
Go ahead.
So we're in Embassy Suites. I want to think it's Dutch, myself, Sid, Sheik, maybe Tom Zink, and there's somebody else in there. And some girls are have come up from the bar. And so Sheik tells the girl that there's a wooden table, like because it's an Embassy Suite, so you've got like the living room area. So he cleans the table off. He goes, you can either get on the table, maybe do the arch for the Iron Sheik. She goes, I'm not doing anything. Oh, come on. You just maybe just like, prop up like maybe to the arch. You put your ass up a little bit for the Sheik. No, I'm not doing that. Walks over, fucking open hand slaps her.
Jesus Christ.
I'm like, oh my fucking God. The other girl's like fucking like, what the fuck? You don't fucking tell me you're not going to. I asked you fucking like a gentleman twice.
Like a gentleman.
The girl says, I'm calling the police unless you get Brian Pillman up here right now. So we're like, fuck, man, find Pillman. So 3 guys go out. Zink comes back with Pillman. And all this girl wants to do is meet Brian Pillman. So as she's like being consoled by Pillman and the heat's being dissipated, I hear in the background, oh, goddamn, that is a Brian Pillman. Now maybe you do the arch. We're like, no, man, we're not getting an arch out of this, man. We're just trying not to be in a room doing depositions in a month from now. Like,
Harvey Weinstein's downfall was not having Brian Pillman downstairs, clearly.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brian.
Sheik had to piss in a car. I was in a car with Sheik. He had to piss. We were going to do doing promotion for the roasts. I think we were doing what the hell was that sports guy? Pharrell, the sports DJ on Sirius. So we're stuck in the Holland Tunnel,
and the guy that talks like that.
Yeah, he's got that raspy voice like that. So we're on the helix into the Lincoln Tunnel to head to into Manhattan. on a Friday night at 9 o'clock. So you can imagine. I mean,
So it's Stephen King's Stand at this point.
yes, it is. It's the stand. You could play checkers on with other cars on the roofs of the cars. So we're heading down. We're locked cars. He's drinking his gimmick, and so now he's got to piss. So he begins praying to Jesus. He's Muslim, but he's praying to Jesus for some reason. He's in the front seat in front of me. He goes, "Oh Jesus, Eric, Baba, I have to pee bad." Eric Sims. He's like, "Sheik, there's nothing I could do. We're stuck in the car." So he's and now I'm getting uncomfortable because I know he's going to end up spraying. So we're getting down. We're listening to Pharrell on the radio, going, "I'll be here any minute. Trust me." So we're at now. This is, I think, a few months. Well, a couple of years maybe after 9/11. Okay, so this is fresh in everyone's mind. So there are in front of the Holland Tunnel, the Lincoln Tunnel. There are M16 holding. I don't know if they were local police or National Guard. There was somebody. Okay, so they're at the tunnel. So now that we're almost at the toll booth where the guys are with the guns, and we're almost there, and he can't take it anymore. He said, "Hey, open the door! I gotta get out of the pit." Can you imagine a guy in a turban jumping out, running up to with his cock, running up to somebody with a machine gun? So Eric screams at him. He says, "You cannot get out of the car and piss." To which Sheik says, "Ox Baker did it." So that became my default reason when anybody told me we could not do something in the business. Ox Baker did it. Worked for him. All right, Florida man or Jersey guy. Anyone who was playing along at home, 2 stories, real headlines. One, you have to attribute it. One to a Jersey individual, one to someone in Florida. Here they are. Man brings 32 bags of weed into the courtroom. And man calls 911 about a McDonald's order and says he has cocaine in his butt. Man brings 32 bags of weed into the courtroom for his case, and man calls 911 about a McDonald's order and tells them he has cocaine in his butt.
Cool. I'm just going to go on the fact that I'm going to say cocaine up the anus is the Florida man, and the bringing in the pot to prove to prove a point in his own court case is very Jersey.
You're absolutely correct once again. Let's go here to let's go to the courtroom in I don't know. I'm feeling this might even be the Jersey City courtroom here. Let's see. Yeah, December 14th was a very bad day for a 29-year-old Jersey City resident, Marquise Diggs. That morning, he woke up, grabbed his coat, headed off to family court where his mother was waiting to file a restraining order against him. Upon his arrival, Diggs was promptly arrested on several outstanding warrants. Jersey Journal reports that subsequent search revealed 32 bags of suspected marijuana and $176 in his coat pocket. The money not as much a problem as the weed. And then in the McDonald's one, oh yeah, let's get a shot of him. Oh, no, not showing up? All right. Well, let's see. We get a still? A still of the individual's face. It's charming. But this is Collier County, Florida. I'm not sure where that is. And the cocaine. A man hinted as he was being loaded into the back of a Collier County. There he is. Innocent? "I have cocaine in my butt," 56-year-old Mustafa Owardi answered. Owardi had called 911 3 times early Wednesday morning from the McDonald's on Tamami Trail East. He said they'd gotten his burger order wrong twice. Why this necessitated a phone call to the police, I'm not sure. However, when deputies arrived, he began yelling and I guess told them he had cocaine in his ass.
Probably, it looks like he's got at least a bowling ball up there.
Yeah, the expression alone would
Yeah.
It's constipation. If it wasn't the coke, it would probably be constipation.
I see him like when he actually made the the audio of this was a lot like in Training Day when the guy says, "You ever have your shit pushed in?" I can see that guy kind of having that. You ever have cocaine up your ass? I've had my shit pushed in.
He's got a very even tan, though. I'll tell you that it's a healthy Florida tan.
I think it's probably just a cheap bag he's got jammed up there. He's probably getting some leakage.
I was going to say, he might have ruptured.
He's just
totally wired.
Yeah, he's just out of his mind.
Well, those of you listening on your Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Stitcher or iHeart, this is a reason to go over to YouTube, click subscribe to get Tristen is Black.
Yep.
And see some of the visuals that we talk about every week here. And I'd like to welcome a new sponsor right now. This is Lucy. Who's Lucy? No reference to the Iron Sheik hotel room escapades. This Lucy that will come into your life is very different. Listen, we know not everybody uses nicotine, but if you do, you're going to want to listen up. All right, get ready. This is an ad for Lucy Breakers. If you're one of the millions of adults who use nicotine, you know that not all products are the same. And there's one new product that stands out above the rest. Lucy Breakers are the only nicotine pouch that gives you a blast of flavor from the first moment to the last. Each pouch contains a capsule that you break open and release a rush of flavor that does not fade away, like those other pouches, the ones that rhyme with thin. They come with so many flavors: mint, berry citrus, mango, even espresso. And you don't have to go to the gas station or corner store to get them. Order online. They'll be shipped straight to your door. Not your daughter, your door. Every order gets free shipping. Plus, if you subscribe, you'll save 15% and never run out. So whether you use nicotine while working, creating, or playing, Lucy Breakers are an intelligent choice. And we've got a special deal for our listeners, $10 off your first order when you use the promo code NASH, N-A-S-H, at checkout. And shipping is always free anyway. So you're going to go to lucy.co, Lucy.co, promo code NASH to receive the $10 off and get free shipping. Visit lucy.co for more details. And we thank Lucy for sponsoring the podcast. And here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. The product contains nicotine, and nicotine is an addictive chemical. Thank you, Lucy, for being here. Guys, are you wasting money on subscriptions? You are. You know you are, because 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about. Maybe for you, it's an unused Amazon Prime account, or maybe everyone in your house has opened an Amazon Prime account unbeknownst to you, a Hulu account that never gets streamed. There's this great app I use that helps me track all of my expenses. And because of it, I no longer waste money on subscriptions that I don't even use. You might have heard of it. It's called Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill. The app shows you all of your subscriptions in one place and then cancels whatever you don't still want. They do it for you. You click the button and you purge that list. The app, the Rocket Money, can even find subscriptions you didn't know you were paying for. You may even find out you've been double charged for a subscription. It's a mistake. It can happen. To cancel a subscription, all you have to do is press the cancel button, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Man, if this is not a 2.0 solution or a tool, a great weapon to have for your finances now that everything is accessible digitally, this helps you manage that life. And everything's subscription-based now, for God's sakes. That's the way businesses are sending everything, subscription-based. So no matter what it is, if it is a recurring charge, it will show up here on Rocket Money, and you can get rid of it very easily. So I want you to get rid of your useless subscriptions with Rocket Money. Now you're going to go to rocketmoney.com/Nash. Seriously, it could save you hundreds per year. That's rocketmoney.com/Nash. rocketmoney.com/Nash. Cancel your unnecessary subscriptions right now at rocketmoney.com/Nash. And we thank you, Rocket Money. You know, one of my favorite things that you've referenced in my presence was walking into a professional wrestling locker room as a green athlete, basketball athlete, but walking into a wrestling locker room for the first time, and you describe Harley Race lacing the boots with the 11 soft ash hanging out. And it gets me thinking about how different the business is now and how wonderfully carny it was years ago.
I mean, I would just love to take Buddy Landel and put him in a WWE locker room, and this is Buddy in his prime, and then him going over like Seth Rollins that night. Nobody say a word, just Buddy, and because Buddy could work his ass off, you know, but it would just be like, there were so many guys in the locker room. Well, number one, like you walk in the locker room, yeah, Harley was smoking, but he was one of 11.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I've never walked into a locker room in my life and like cigarette smoke was prevalent.
Yeah, and you had they're playing cards, right?
Oh.
Nobody's standing around a monitor.
No.
No one's going over spots endlessly, standing there going over spots.
I mean, when I broke in, it was you'd walk in and you'd be with the heels. So
That's true, right? Yeah, exactly.
The baby faces weren't like you weren't putting shit together,
right?
So when you're green, it's just like all I was told was just when somebody that's got more seniority than you walks in the room, give me your chair,
right?
Because I gave my chair to Harley, and he just said, "Who broke you in?" I said, "Jody Hamilton." Said, "It was good to see you got broke in right."
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Was that the first guy you talked to when you came in the room?
Yeah. Yep. And then I watched him go through that whole lacing the boots and with, and I told that motherfucker. I'm just like, wow. He was what a great guy he was.
Did they drink before the matches, or was that exclusively the post-match ritual?
Yeah, I never saw anybody drink until the NWO started. That was like the first time I saw guys like when we actually like would sit around and drink beers
at the show.
Yeah. Before and then it was funny because Kurt Angle and I would always like to have a couple of beers. Mm-hmm. Like even at TNA, like we would have a beer or two, just it was just like part of the ritual before. Because nothing's better than the beer when you get out of the ring. That first one out of the ring, it's just like, and Kurt Hennig used to do it the best. Kurt would wipe the, he'd have a singlet down, he'd wipe the top of the beer can off, he'd pop it, take that big gulp and go, coldest fucking beer I've ever had in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Best beer I've had in my life. And you just, be like, all right, well, good for you. I still got to work.
How the hell did smokers go out there and do 35, 40, 45 minutes?
I remember when Rude came from New York, came from WWE.
He was a smoker.
And Deuce was walking him to the ring. Medusa was.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's sitting there and he's got the long red robe on. He had that kind of poodle mullet because he had that curly hair, and he's out there. He's walking back and forth, taking drag, and it was time to go. And he turned that thing sideways. Have that last. Blow it out and then suck it back in. And as fucking, she popped the curtain open, he'd come out and drag and shoot that smoke out of his nose into the spotlight. And I just said, like, they just, he was the ongoing joke was always like, we'd be someplace and somebody say, I'm fucking getting hot, man. I'm about to go off. I'm about to get like rude. That just was an ongoing joke. Like, it was always like, dude, you have no idea how tough I am. I'm like rude.
Yeah. But that was the standard by which the tough guys would get those. That Minnesota crew was.
They were all tough.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was a pretty.
Even like a guy like Barry Dorso, which is just sweetheart of a guy.
What a nice guy.
Hook your eye in a heartbeat. I mean, how is Demolition not in the Hall of Fame?
Oh, it'll happen eventually.
Come on.
Everyone's going in eventually, right? What do they do? 10 a year. And let's just say Bill Eadie has pulled the sled in a lot of different forms for a lot of different companies, face paint, masks. He's really done it all. So, but just to kind of get back to this era of guys, so the veterans, right? The veterans were always the guys that kind of set the tone for the locker room. So a guy like Harley, if Harley's on the card, you're taking your cues from Harley that night, and
Stan
who gets to
Hansen's in
ride?
there.
Stan Hansen, sure. Who gets to ride with a Harley Race? Does a green guy ever get thrown in the card?
Oh, he was my manager for a while.
Right, but because you were working though. But
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of times, they would Jake was real good with like young guys. Like Jake could see somebody, and Jake could grab him. You drive, I'll smarten you up.
Right.
Like Jake was one of those guys. Rude was that for me. Rude like saw something in me. Besides the fact that I could roll a hell of a joint.
Always helpful.
Yeah. But Kurt always liked this, and then like Scott was huge. Scott always wanted like some young boy, that he could smarten up. Just that's just the way. But I think that's that whole AWA kind of mentality was everybody kind of like, I don't know. They kind of all like Brad Reagan's was kind of like the godfather that kind of taught everybody, and everybody worked off Reagan style.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Kurt kind of started his own style, and then everybody kind of worked, the combination of those two styles. And then, then Scott and Sean went to WWE, then they started their own style, and the Kliq all kind of worked that style.
But when like NWO time, Kliq time, the business had kind of already changed to like a superhero-esque physicality. I mean, these guys looked like they don't look like Harley Race. I don't know how valued that body type would have been once guys started looking like Tom Zank, and
you still had guys like the Nasty Boys.
That is true.
You still had like Public Enemy. They weren't body guys. I mean, there was a lot of guys that just, that weren't body guys still. But that was not top of the card.
Mm-hmm.
Top of the closer you look to Black Adam, the closer you were going to get. That's what I love, the fact that, Dwayne at what is he, 48, 49 years old?
Yeah.
Basically is in a suit that is like it's like a compression Under Armour that actually makes him smaller. Everybody else is padded up, like Ben Affleck, he looks like Super Shredder. And, the Rock's just, you know, got Tanya Hardy just fucking
Wrapped
singling out.
in
Yeah,
seaweed.
exactly.
I did a show with Bruno and Harley. One of those crazy ideas. I was like, well, why don't we have these two representatives of historic companies, NWA and WWWF, and I did a presidential style debate. It was called the Great Debate '08. It was an election year, so I thought we'd get these two in a room between the red podium and blue podium, and I moderate a presidential style debate with the two of them. I thought it was fabulous. I ran into Harley years later. I said, "Hey, you remember the Great Debate?" And he said, "Interesting." And so the best stuff that happened was off camera. So Harley comes with his lovely wife BJ, who was kind of handling his affairs at the time, and he sits down and he's smoking. We're waiting for Bruno to come down, or we were in a break. And his Harley needed to eat. His chicken nuggets were delivered, and he's there eating greasy chicken nuggets and fries. I think the cigarette was on the corner of his mouth while he was chewing. Now Bruno's sitting on the set, nowhere near the cigarettes or Harley, and he looks over. He goes, "Harley, you're still smoking." Harley goes, "Yeah." And they began to have a duel of sorts. Yeah, there it is. They began to have a duel of sorts as they talked about their lifestyles. Bruno's like, "Oh God," he's like, I'm too slept." We were shooting late, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm usually in bed by this time. It's 9 o'clock." And Harley's like, "I don't get to bed till after 12:30. I watch all the late night shows." And he's like, "Well, I'm up at 6, Harley, so I gotta get to bed at 9. He's like, "I don't worry about what time I get up these days." And I just sat back and enjoyed the two of them off camera while the chicken nuggets were being shoveled into his mouth and the room was filling with nicotine, watching the two of them talk about their lives. I was just fascinating. I should have turned the cameras around and shot that. It was better than the debate. But I am fascinated by this time in the business when it was like, if it was not for wrestling and the money they made here, these guys probably would have floated off the planet, if not joined the circus. They were tethered to the earth by the fact that they had a place to go and make some money in wrestling. These personalities.
And there were territories that guys would get paid in an 8-ball Coke for the night. Like that was one of the
accepted.
That was one of their choices. You want this or an 8-ball? Well, I'll take the 8-ball.
Wow. Yeah, but I mean, these Captain Lou, the stories of Captain Lou at Madison Square Garden with a fistful of vodka. And, he was one of those, he was one of those. That's why we have to get McMahon on here to do an interview. I won't go for any of the bad stuff. I just have to know stuff like this. When Vince bought the company from his father, there were a few people he was told he had to take care of, right? It was Monsoon and Lou and maybe Skoland.
Probably Chief.
The guys that were partners with Vince. And so Lou thought he was living in a state of grace and could do anything. And they would say that he would have his fistful of vodka backstage, swigging, get up every 5 minutes or 10 minutes from the card game to run into Junior's office, tell him to go fuck himself, then come back, have more vodka, and play more cards. Regularly, you could set your clock by it. Every, 10 minutes or whatever, when he would do that. Just shit that you hear. It was like the Wild West.
I remember Ric Flair was telling a story one time, and it was just the matter of factness of he says, "So I'm sitting in the locker room, and Barry had pissed off his dad, and so Blackjack's looking for Barry, and Blackjack kicks the door open. He goes, 'Barry in here?' He looks down. Blackjack's got a .357 Magnum in his hand. Barry is underneath, like one of those, like in a tour bus. He's underneath where the luggage is, hiding behind the luggage because he thinks his dad's going to kill him. But Flair's telling the story like So then I pushed the cart back up to Target after I got done shopping. And I'm sitting there going, what? But you realize they're just, so they're leaving, they're driving their cars. They all got pistols.
Yeah.
The Briscoes used to play this game called King of the Road. And at any time, if you called King of the Road, the car would stop and everybody had to get out and grapple. And it was like basically whoever, like, you know, you could go 3-on-1 if you wanted to, but like this King of the Road situation would happen where they would grapple, and I mean they'd fight. And like, can you imagine?
Why? I'm fascinated and I love it. But could you imagine having to make the next city?
Especially when everybody in the car is a shooter.
Well,
You
I
know,
guess that's why they were doing it, right?
Yeah,
For
yeah,
bragging
yeah,
rights or whatever.
yeah. I mean, it was just like,
Was there ever a time when, like, Triple H pulled the car over and said, King of the Road, and you and Scott and Hunter had to beat the shit out of each other on the side of the road?
if it was nighttime, nobody could have got out of the fucking van. Paul could have got out and
Just him, though.
done a Chinese fucking fire
drill. Exactly.
I was usually coherent enough to change the radio station.
Well, good question. Who was in charge of the radio? Was it always the wheelman?
Yeah. I mean, I would always, like when I was driving, absolutely. But then at the same time, if it's a long trip, like at that point, like when I first broke in up there, like Scott and HBK, Sean were both listening to country music. So
yeah.
yeah, you had
We
to
talked about that.
Yeah, you had to get that Merle in.
Right.
But then at the same time, you know, years later, Merle Haggard comes with the Peabody here in Daytona Beach, and I bring my son. So my son saw Merle. Yeah, my son saw Merle.
Back in this time, before anyone cared whether anyone was smoking in a locker room or anything like that, the road agent, the job of the road agent then was, I mean, no one's telling Harley to put out a cigarette, for God's sakes, but was it mostly just handling the business of the night, the gate, the payoffs?
Finish.
They give
the finish.
You were still getting your finishes.
Yeah.
I'm talking, when did you first walk into the locker room? 89?
89, 90.
Right.
But Grizz was the road manager or the road
Right.
agent a lot. And, you know, Grizz never did not have a cigarette.
Oh, he was one of those guys.
Yeah.
He was one of the Harley,
and then he would take me on because I was young, you know, I was a big dude. He would take me a lot of times from town to town and smart me up. Just psychology, you know, he wasn't like he was a move guy, but just psychology, when to get heat, you know, so.
Was he as good? You know, you hear Jake a lot of times credited with that mind. Was Grizz as good?
See, Jake would be able to immediately grab you, because Jake would say, you know, when's the highest you're going to get the people? You'd say, well, I hit my finish. He says, no, the highest the people is when you set for your finish. So he would work his whole match around setting for that DDT. And that's who that was almost his falses. You know, every time he'd grab the guy would grab the rope and go underneath. So he would work his match, you know, around that. So when you see somebody that's working smarter and not harder, that's the guys, you know. Hulk's as good as they get when it comes to just putting shit together. Like, Maybe right there we go through a table. Maybe right there we already have their money. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And I know the business has changed, drastically, but for every guy that goes through goes through a table now, that it's that's some guy that bladed 10 nights in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it all you go in the locker room, it doesn't look like everybody in there's been tortured on their foreheads.
No, probably hardly any of them now, but it's just
Yeah.
a different time. But
Yeah.
but I think the thing of all the chasms in the generations in wrestling, you could talk about the physicality and the emphasis of the bodybuilder versus a guy that looked like Harley, that could be on the top of the card and look like Harley. Importance of television, the look, cable, and it was the promo going from you being encouraged to just go out there and make your personality come out to being told what to say. To me, I would imagine that would have been the toughest transition for guys that worked in the 70s and 80s coming up to the 90s and the thousands, is kind of having their tongue clipped.
Yeah. When we went to back to Turner in 96, we said whatever the fuck. They didn't tell us anything. I mean, you could have somebody write something down for 3 weeks. We weren't going to say any of it. Our number one thing was always this. They'd always wanted to do this. Like, it would be like the Outsiders versus Steiners. And so the Steiners would go out and get in the ring, and they'd go on by script and say, you know what, you guys, there's no reason to wait till Sunday. Let's do it right now. And then we'd come out, we go, well, we're in no hurry, so we'll just do this on Sunday. And then turn around and just walk back, and they'd be like, that's not what, well, we can't go back out there now. But we always used to say that. Yeah, I remember one time Scott actually like broke it down to the point of, well, it's like a lot of people are going to buy the pay-per-view to watch our match. So, like, from a company standpoint, wouldn't it make more sense if we made you pay for it instead of giving it free tonight? And then when you come through the curtain, you just look at them like this. And they're like, you two dicks.
Did you guys, it was always, from the fans' perspective, it was always fun when you guys hit the ring and did those long promos with Eric, later on with Eric, because there was that sense that anything could happen almost. So it was very obvious, I think, it was to me and probably all fans, that nothing was scripted beyond whatever the point was of the promo that night. I could tell that anything could be said out there, and I'd see you guys crack up, and it was great to have that. But that was probably the end of it, right?
Oh yeah, because once they took the F out, like once the WWF became WWE,
Yeah,
and all of a sudden, man, it was just like they were working their way to become corporate. They were working their way to become what am I trying to say? Public. I'm sorry, public. Ugh.
publicly traded.
Yeah,
so,
they were trying to get public,
yeah.
so they started to, from pulling a rubber hand out of a woman's vagina to now we've got to figure out how we can cut this back and make this a viable stock option.
Yeah.
And so they really put the kibosh. And I remember several times I remember coming back and they'd be like, 1 o'clock, everybody down at the ring, we've got a rehearsal. I'm thinking to myself, like, fuck, man, my back ain't touching that mat. And it'd be like, no, we're doing it, like, we're going to go over the verbiage. And I'm like, it's fucking 1 o'clock. I just got here. I don't fucking know anything I'm supposed to say. So I'd go down there like it was a sitcom day one. I'd just read off the fucking paper. And then you'd get hollered at. I don't think you're prepared. I'm like, wait till 8 o'clock. I'll know just as much of this.
But now
Like,
Eric, who loved, I think anyway, from what I know of Eric, loved going out there with you guys because you could go anywhere with it, right? I mean, with the promo, I mean, anything
yeah.
you could have fun with it. Now he's in the middle now because as a thing, he made the journey to WWE. So now he's in a position where things are going to be scripted, and he's worked with you guys extensively, made a ton of money, like revitalized the company. And now he's got to stand by and be part of the machine that's going to hand you a script. Did he ever privately say to you, Kevin, like change anything you want? Or
No, because at that point it was just it was almost like after 3 or 4 times you doing your own shit, even though it might have been better, they didn't care because to them it was huge not being a good soldier. It was just like so. And like I've always said, man, I don't have a problem. Like the piece of artwork behind me is original, but I'm sure that she wouldn't have a problem, doing print to canvas and selling those for $1,000 if there was a market for it.
so you're saying that compromising the art for commerce is going pro.
Exactly. I mean,
in a way.
It's, and I understand because the thing is that there's a lot of people that have been broken in, and they've been broken into being handed a script. So we were just talking early before we started the show. We were talking about you were talking about Matthew Perry saying that when he worked on that Sorkin Studio 60 or whatever it was, that you couldn't even take a pregnant pause in your line without Sorkin. I said, no, that's not there. And what happens is, I remember working on Rock of Ages with Paul Giamatti, and the guy just said, I just ad-lib some shit right there. And he kind of walked away from Paul. And I just looked at Paul, and I saw Paul kind of have this perplexed look. And he said, man, I could fucking sit here and do the Gettysburg's Address forward and backwards. He said, I can do Adams. He said, you give me, 18 paragraphs. He says, ad lib? He said, that's not, I said, well, thank God you got me here because I got nothing to do but think about shit because I got no lines. So I said, here, let me throw you some. So he'd get up there, I'd throw him a line. It was just like I can't do what, I can't do the Gettysburg Express or Gettysburg,
Address.
Yeah, address. But, I said, I can definitely come up with just some bullshit to throw into a movie.
But see, now movies were always scripted, and if you had a director that was amenable to it, you could work off the script. You talked about doing a lot of ad-libbing in Longest Yard, right? But wrestling was always improvisation, and then suddenly there's writing. And what about when Russo was there? What was how much
points?
did he? It was just bullet points. He didn't want you to stick to okay.
No. Because he knew he knew the flavor he wanted. But he wasn't gonna write your shit. Like I remember when I came back and they would be like, and one of those writers would come up to me in WWE and they'd be like, so I was looking at some old Diesel interviews you did. And I'd be like, what? Like those were fun. Those are rotten. Those are, I mean, and I- I'm thinking along that line, but just not so much dialogue. Oh, so you want me to sit here and get buried by Punk? I got it. Yeah.
You were there in an interesting time, man. You saw the change. You saw that.
Yeah, I saw it. And the
That
thing was,
changeover.
and it was the only time that I really just said, you know what, fuck it, just take the money. I did it when they handed me the odds. Gimmick, and Sullivan looked at me and goes, I said, Kevin, I don't get it. I don't get what the fuck this is. He goes, brother, it's called take the fucking money. And I was just like,
Yeah, sure.
so
I mean, you're paid to do a job.
Yeah.
You're paid
So Kevin, it doesn't bother you that we're wearing the same rubber masks? Not a bit, brother. Now shut up and pass the joint.
But back in the day, if you were booking for Crockett or whatever, as important, maybe more important than what you did in the ring and being a good soldier or whatever, was what you did on the microphone.
Yeah, but could you imagine somebody telling Dusty or telling Flair what their promo was?
Well, I think Flair has talked about the first time he was handed a script when he got there, and yeah, and they had to hand Ric effing Flair a script. He should have just nached it. Went into business for himself. You got to throw the verb in there. He should have just nached it.
I think I'm quite sure that the first time they handed it to him, he didn't cower and just go, oh, whatever you say. He probably went like, I guarantee you, once he got away around a corner or something, that thing was
thrown in the garbage.
Fuck this. I remember when
That's what I would talk to Ric about. You know, I don't want to care about the title reigns, and I would talk to him about how one of the best talkers in the history of the business, one of the best promos, a guy that was born to do what he did at the time that he did it. The first time he walked in and got handed a script. What the hell happened? I want to know that scene.
it was so I mean, when would Ric Flair have ever needed a script?
Never.
When would Dusty ever have never? Scott, never. Rock, never.
But like you said before, it wasn't about them needing it. It was about controlling the message and keeping it sanitized.
Because the other person was already a drone. So if you said they're waiting for you to say at SummerSlam, and you never get there, you're still burying them an hour later. They're sitting there going, SummerSlam. When is he going to say SummerSlam? I know I say so. My line's after SummerSlam.
Plug the show. Yeah.
My line's after SummerSlam.
Well, if you had Vince on headset, someone would be being screamed at.
Yeah, but you wouldn't get you get hollered at when you come back. And that was
when you're in there. You don't get fed anything ever?
No.
By the ref, nothing?
Nothing.
Nothing.
No, they might tell you go home. You know, like you guys are long.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one time we were doing a TV taping, and we weren't the last segment, and I remember the referee came over and buzzed me, and then Sean came over to tag me in. I said, they said go home. He goes, fuck them, we're not last. Like, let them work. Let them cut the 3 minutes out of their match.
Amazing. Different time.
Yeah.
Different time. Kevin, I know that you talked to me last week about Miracle brand sheets.
Yes.
And I just want to reiterate for everyone out there what Miracle brand is, if you have not heard about it. Listen, the fact is that traditional bed sheets can harbor more bacteria than a toilet seat. This is a fact. It could lead to acne, allergies, stuffy noses, and beyond that, it's just gross. Miracle brand offers a whole line of self-cleaning, eco-friendly bedding such as sheets, pillowcases, and comforters, and they prevent 99% of bacteria and require 3 times less laundering. How the heck does that happen, you're saying? It's very simple. Silver. What am I talking about, silver? What am I talking about? Silver-infused fabrics originally developed by NASA. Miracle brand sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at the perfect temperature all night long. So you get better sleep every night. They're self-cleaning. They're infused with that natural silver that prevents 99.9% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresher 3 times longer than other sheets. No gross odors either, okay? They are the perfect gift. We are getting to that time of year. You, your spouse, friends, family, whoever. Who doesn't want better sleep and luxurious bedding, for God's sakes? It's just better all around, better for your skin, better for you. So stop sleeping on bacteria. I have to tell you this? What's the matter with you? Stop sleeping on bacteria. Clean sheets mean less bacteria to clog your pores and fewer breakouts and skin problems. So you're going to go to trymiracle.com/Kevin. Trymiracle, T-R-Y, miracle.com/Kevin. Okay, try it today. Give it to somebody special for the holiday season. We've got a special deal for all listeners. You save 40%. I said 40 freaking percent if you use the promo code Kevin at checkout. Save even more. Get 3 free towels, okay? Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you get the full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle brand. Go to trymiracle.com/Kevin. Use the code Kevin. Claim your free 3-piece towel set. Save over 40%. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Kevin. Go do it now. We'll wait. Click it. Type it. Good. Treat yourself, a friend, a loved one this holiday season. Thank you, Miracle brand.
They didn't send me the towels. Did they send you the towels?
You just got the sheets?
Yeah, I just got the sheets.
Yeah, no, I got the sheets. I think the towels will be standard towels, but
I think they might have they won't have the silver in them. The towels.
I don't know. I have to see. Maybe the towels are forthcoming. Maybe it comes from a different shipper.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's what happened.
I did notice when they showed that's the first time we've actually had the ad, and it seemed like when she used the Miracle sheets, her breasts were perkier. Is that just me?
I think it's a byproduct of the silver infused sheets. It picks everything up.
Because the bacteria is not wearing.
Kevin, she's 11. Wait, who is that?
Oh, that's not her.
No, okay. Look at her. Look at her laundering. Oh my God, who wants to do laundry all the time?
Can you imagine like washing your sheets every week? It's a pain in the ass. If you could you're talking about 3 weeks.
Absolutely.
I mean,
and they feel great. That's the key for me. I want the feeling of luxury.
See, I sleep naked, so I mean this is like bacteria. This is huge for me.
I need drawers on. You don't like, but because there's some rollage and squashing. Who needs that in the middle of the night?
By the time I'm groomed and got groomed, toned, and on my way to my Miracle sheets, on top of my chili pad. Jeez. The last thing I'm worried about is rollage. I got more shit going on. Got a dip of espresso.
We had a request to bring our what the hell was it? Indianapolis, I think somebody wrote us to bring the live show to Indianapolis. How's that for a city? Should we play Indianapolis?
I love Indianapolis.
Maybe we'll do that then. It is time for Ask Nash. We allow you access to Kevin Nash, something many people don't have. Kevin doesn't want to deal with people, and he doesn't have to. He's in a position where he can say, I don't want to deal with people today. But he agrees to deal with you every Monday here. Jacob says, hey, yo, Kevin Nash just watched Dog on Amazon Prime and was wondering if you were a dog person yourself. Have you had any pets over the years? You have a dog now.
I've had a dog. My wife and I have had a dog since we've been together 35 years. We've had a dog the whole time.
What kind of
So-
dog is this one?
This is a Yorkshire, Yorkie, but we don't have. It's a full size. So he's a 12-pound Yorkshire. He's not. I mean, I'm sure you could put him in. I could put him in my purse. But yeah, I think it'd probably break my wife's collarbone. We've had Doberman.
Oh,
We had a Doberman.
see those big dogs when they like jump on your lap when you're sitting on the couch. That's jarring. It's like having a person jump on you.
Yeah, but back then I was like 340. He weighed maybe 100, so it was like wasn't that big of a deal.
Well, all right. Well, normal people
Yeah,
don't want a Doberman jumping on them.
I don't want Black Jack Mulligan jumping on me with a 357. That's what,
Go get in the cargo bin of the bus.
exactly.
Audrey Braun, I found this from a used bookstore. Was it you? This is fascinating to me. She bought this book in a bookstore. Now, Steve, zoom in. This is the autograph from the two authors. The two authors are Jeannie. Give me the name here. All right, Jeannie Clark and Bradley Craig. The top says, to Kevin, last time I saw you in WCW when you were Oz. How long ago? Hope you enjoy the book. Love, Jeannie. And then below that, Kevin, you've come a long way since I first saw you wrestle in Aberdeen.
Aberdeen against
Vinny
Cactus
Vegas
Jack.
against Cactus Jack. Is this a legit autograph that was given to you that the book somehow ended up in a used bookstore? Or is somebody ribbing this girl? You clearly didn't enjoy Through the Shattered Glass because it's not immediately coming to mind.
Yeah, it's not, but it's
Could be.
I don't see why somebody would go Oz and then jump down to Vinny Vegas, Aberdeen, which, I mean, no, it would be very hard to know about me and Mick's match in Aberdeen. I think that's the first time me and Mick ever worked.
Well, Bradley Craig was the one who saw you in Aberdeen, and Jeannie Clark was the one who saw you in,
Right.
enjoyed you as Oz. She was the one that enjoyed you as Oz.
So,
The one Oz fan. Any Oz merch out there, Kev?
the Tin Man.
Of Wizard of Oz fame?
Oh, Oz
No,
never-
you don't. You
Oz
didn't have an
never-
Oz shirt?
No.
Okay. May have to bring this back. Jake Station, did you ever wrestle or talk with LUDVIG BORGA? And if you did, what are your thoughts on him? Greetings from Finland.
I knew Ludwig very well. Tony was a good. I mean, I stayed at his house in Manhattan Beach. He was a different cat. I wouldn't say that he and I shared beliefs on humans. Put it this way, we were walking through Tel Aviv, and he had an SS tattoo on his calf. So, which I did not know until we were walking through Tel Aviv.
It's a fine place to discover that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But
Nunya Bizbis. A few questions for you as a local that I've always wondered. Number one, why did Mort Crim always look like he just drank vinegar? 2, why is Lansing, Michigan the home of so many crackheads and theft of car tires? 3, what exactly was the Noid? Well, the Noid was that pizza gimmick that they were doing for a little bit, right? Avoid the Noid.
wasn't that Domino's?
That was Domino's, I think. Yeah.
The little the red hat on.
Yeah, I think that one went over like a fart in church.
It went over like that fucking Detroit style pizza, the square one.
Exactly. I think this was an attempted reference to the pizza, but it's different company. Mort
Yeah.
Crim.
Mort Crim's he's just an old crusty fucker. He was around for 1,000 years. He was on our I did that show, The Detroiters, and they had he was on that. What was the other one they asked?
Lansing, Michigan. Is that a shithole?
No, fucking I mean, if they would have said Flint or Saginaw, but Lansing, I mean, you go to the hood anywhere in Michigan, you know.
Flint took the dive when the industry left, right? It
lost that huge GM truck plant.
Right.
And the Saginaw had Saginaw had an assembly. Like when everything was built up in Michigan, those towns were, you could make a family of 4 could live.
Mm-hmm.
And then when those plants all shut, and that was it.
There was a documentary on, I don't know, one of the streamers about the police force in Flint. You see that? Trying to police Flint amid like corruption and
there's like 11 officers. Like the mom and the son both
yes, that's right.
Went in together. Yeah. No, they said that like the call time was like 45 minutes to an hour. But I think they had like all of Genesee County up there.
But they were just so horrendously staffed, and it was just...
Have you ever seen the one where it's the Detroit Fire Department?
No.
Oh, the guys are they're putting out fires. They got duct tape holding their boots together, and oh man, it's another rough one.
Yeah. Wow. Mark Millam, any views on Bill Hicks or just your favorite comedians ever? He's my all-time favorite. Bill Hicks was great. He always did the smoking gimmick, and then he died of lung cancer.
Bill Hicks was a regular at the Cheetah,
which was the club you worked at.
Yeah, Bill Hicks used to do. He was there on, I want to think it was either Friday or every Saturday night. Bill Hicks did it might have been Friday and Saturday night. He did a set. But he was real good friends with Mr. Haygood that owned it, and Bill Hicks always that was the only time and women could come in when they were accompanied. So it was kind of it kind of had a cool vibe when he was there.
Yeah, he was great. What other comedians did you enjoy?
Oh,
I'll throw out some names. You tell me where they stand.
Like right now?
Well, just all time. Like I think Carlin is probably my all-time favorite. Because he functions on so many levels. There's the comedy, there's the relatable comedy, but then there's a real social overtone, which is relevant today.
Right now, Bill Burr's probably my favorite.
Yeah, Burr's great.
I think he's really good. God, all time. I mean, Richard Pryor I grew up with.
How about Kinnison? Where do you put Kinnison?
He'd be top 20, but not my Rushmore.
Gilbert Gottfried, not the Rushmore,
but Gilbert Gottfried at a roast, unreal.
Mm-hmm.
Don
Rickles,
great in the first chair on Carson.
On Carson, right?
On Carson, unbelievable. I mean, just unbelievable. I remember one time Johnny Carson was going to call Bob Newhart out as his next guest. He says this is probably one of the classiest guys I know. He goes, Bob Newhart's so classy he gets out of the shower to use the urinal. I was like a kid. I was just like, what? Then I thought about it. I'm like, oh yeah, that means he's not pissing in the shower.
Excellent.
So yeah,
oh,
I think Eddie Murphy was great.
Murphy, yeah.
I think Chris Rock was amazing. I don't think there's anybody that'll ever be better than Chappelle. I think Chappelle is just Chappelle to me. is very Carlin-ish. You know, where it's. Has anybody like watched the Netflix thing where he's doing like they brought him back to this to get an award for this? He somehow pondered his way into some art school. That's where and he does like it's on Netflix right now. It's like a 30-minute little bit, but he's just talking about, getting into, into this school.
Mm-hmm.
But, no, I think that he's amazing.
You mentioned Eddie Murphy. That was a defining, that special, that HBO special, 1984. It was called Delirious, when he was in the orange jumpsuit.
Yeah.
That was a game changer for me. Comedy became cool, almost like rock star cool with Eddie Murphy. And that was massive, redefining.
Was that what was the one he was in that was the red leather, right?
Yeah, the red leather.
It was in the red leather. Red. It was red leather.
That was huge. Peter D says, "Hi, Kevin. Can you call Hulk on your podcast? Just a short message from him would be great." What would we talk to Hulk about?
Ask him how that fucking what's going down there? Karaoke.
What has he got?
He has karaoke down at his beach place all the time.
Does he still have the place in Clearwater?
He's got the beach shop, and then he's got like Hogan's Hangout.
Oh, okay.
And then Nick, Nick's a really talented DJ. And so Nick spends a couple nights for the younger crowd, and Hulk's down there. I think they do it Monday, like they coincide with Raw, and they may do something Friday with SmackDown.
Is that in Tampa?
Clearwater.
In Clearwater, okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll do our first show there. We'll see. We'll do a live show there. David Van Bogelin. Kev, who are the top 5 managers, valets, or advocates of all time?
Top 5. Wizard. Bobby Heenan.
Mm-hmm.
JJ.
Albano?
Yeah, definitely Lou.
Lassie?
I never really he's like, I wasn't ever around him.
Mm-hmm.
You
know? You said JJ already.
Yeah.
Paul Jones.
Heyman.
Heyman, right.
Yeah, Heyman.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I feel bad that it took me a second to come up with him.
Well, there's probably more, but he asked for the 5.
Yeah. He asked for 5. We gave him 11 soft. Boom.
You know, I don't get to say that we forgot to get to the Bunkhouse Stampede anymore, because we very handily covered that last week.
And I didn't hear a whole lot of like comments at the beginning of our podcast. If anybody, really like diving into that with.
I saw some, mostly shock and awe that we covered it. They kept commentary to themselves, I guess. But
yeah, I think what it is it's just the shock, to take something so precious. And like I saw one comment, the guy said, I knew you'd shit on it because it was da. I'm thinking, I said how bad the match was. I didn't say anything about Dusty. I think I pretty much put Dusty over the entire show. Yeah,
of course. Oh, I saw somebody was talking about Christ, what was? I'll find it for next week. Talking about the gate of an event in Philly. I guess it was a stampede in Philly, that he was saying was a record sellout
Like 12,000 people.
at a house show. I'll find it.
Well, all I know is when we used to run Philadelphia, and it was early WCW, we used to run the Civic Center in Philadelphia. It was over by the train tracks. You couldn't have put fucking 12,000 roaches, and I'm sure you could because there were.
They had about 12,000.
I mean, I never saw more than 3,000 people in that shithole. That was to me, that whole run with WCW would be the equivalent of doing stand-up on cruise ships for fucking 3 years.
Yeah.
All it was a bunch of smarts that they just fucking wanted to just, and Ash. You turn around, what? Fuck yeah. I mean,
You gotta love Philly.
yeah, whatever.
Kevin, I know you know this, but Kliq This is a production of Butch and Sundance Media, produced in association with Podcast Heat, created by Kevin Nash, Tristen Nash, and Sean Oliver, producer Steve Kaufman, graphics by Dominic D'Angelo, title sequence and audio edit by Wesley Burleson, theme song by Dale Oliver, technical research by Tristen Nash, copyright 2022 Butch and Sundance Media. Kev, T, you want to do another one?
He said, yeah, and because Dad owes me huge for keeping the power on.
Exactly.